Welcome back to another review, this time for the anime Agents of the Four Seasons Dance of Spring, which had 14 episodes and was airing in spring of 2026. Synopsis on any list. When the Agent of Spring, Hinagiku Kayo, is abducted, spring itself vanishes, plunging the world into unending winter. Refusing to give up her devoted guard, Sakura Himedaka searches for her for years. When Hinagiku suddenly returns, the two set out to restore the lost seasons, face the past that tore them apart, and reclaim the warmth that they refuse to lose again. Now, this one is very interesting. It has a interesting idea. So in this show, first off, we have our two most important characters, Hinagiku Kayo, who is the orange-haired girl in the picture, and her guard, Sakura Himedaka, who is the black-haired girl on the left. Now, Hinagiku in the middle is the agent of Spring. Now, in this world, to change the season, the specific agent goes around Japan to specific spots, and in her case, she dances. She has a little fan, she dances, she sings, and this is going to usher in spring for that little area. And that is what she's doing. She's going up in Japan, putting spring everywhere. And then, when it is time, summer does the same, the agent of summer, the agent of autumn, and then agent of winter. Now, interesting idea. Every agent has their own village. So there's a village of spring, there's a village of summer, which is a little bit more secular, which is a little bit weird. We also have the government, who has their own little agency to support these agents, because they are very important. Now, that is the background story. In this story, however, the agent of winter got attacked. There is some kind of insurgency in Japan that wants to get rid of the agents. Why, I don't really know, but they want to get rid of the agents, the agency itself. And they attack the agent of winter to try and kill him or get rid of him. Now, at this point, the agent of spring was there on vacation. They hang out and stuff. And she protected him and then got abducted by the insurgents. And 10 years later, she came back. But she was a changed person. She's not as confident anymore. She has a different way of speaking. She looks the same. She still has the power, but something is different about her. And this is essentially where the story starts, where we then go on the adventure to bring spring to all of Japan. And in the meantime, the insurgents are still loose. So, again, I like the idea of this whole agents, and you need to protect them, or the agents of the Four Seasons, you need to protect them. They each have their own guard. The agents also have magic power they can use, essentially. They can not only bring their season, they can also do other stuff outside. There are just some parts I had a problem with. Now, character-wise, I have no problem with the characters. I like the characters. I can understand Sakura. I can understand Hinagiku. Now, Hinagiku is a little bit hard to understand because she essentially had a split personality, where one personality, somehow her personality changed, and it is displayed that the parts that we know or everyone knew beforehand just went away, and this part more or less took her place. It's a little bit weird to get my head around, like the personality change. Is it really a different personality? Is the old personality able to come back? Are they able to fuse? Is there something along those lines? A little bit hard for me. But overall, I have no problem with Hinagiku. She seems like a adorable young girl who just wants to, you know, do the best for everyone. She just wants to make everyone happy. Meanwhile, Sakura, she went through some shit in those 10 years, which is showcased in the anime. I try to not go too much into detail, but she is not necessarily the I want to make everyone happy. That can be Hinagiku's thing. Now we also have the Agent of Winter. You do see them in the picture. The Agent of Winter is the black-haired guy, and the Guard of Winter is the white-haired guy. And I also have... these characters are fine. They're also okay. I don't really have much of a problem with them per se, but I do have problems story-wise. I'm going to come to that later. But this is essentially the thing. So we go around, we try to bring in spring, and stuff happens. Some people don't want to let us do that. We also have at some point like the government or the agency of the agents that is like, hey, we should do like essentially a tour. We should showcase how you do the whole bring spring in, and I don't know why. There's also another caveat I can mention, I feel like. So whenever the old agent dies, the power automatically takes another host from the village. So as soon as you see someone else getting the power, the old agent is gone. They most likely died, but they are gone. So that is why they are able to be so secular, because they have essentially a monopoly over the agent. But I don't really want to go too much into that. We don't really get to know too much about the villages, to be honest. We do find out, we don't see much about the villages and who is in there really. We do get a little bit glimpse and how they handle stuff, but we don't really dive too deep into that. It's mostly about more or less bringing spring and having Hinagiku come back, essentially. Not her old self, but getting closer with Sakura again. This whole development, we also meet all the other agents, and we essentially reconnect with everyone. Now, naturally, stuff happens that is stopping us from getting spring to everywhere. Now, this is where I have some of my problems. I can't really say too much, but essentially the insurgency that is seemingly there and trying to get rid of the agents for some reason. Now, naturally, the insurgents, they are not one big group. They have like little splinter groups, and everyone has their own idea, as always. This is why, as example, Hinagiku got kidnapped instead of killed, because technically the whole insurgency wanted to kill the agents, which doesn't really make much sense because someone else is getting the power. But someone else was like, yeah, no, I'm going to kidnap her. So there is already some problems in the insurgency, but they are still essentially against the agents. The problem is that the insurgency, they have like weapons, automatic weapons. They have like armor, and it's like they have a lot of people, and I'm like, how is no one able to find out where these guys are? They came 10 years ago, were able to kidnap an agent, they were able to attack an agent, kidnap another agent, and no one has an idea where they are. It's like, what are we? It's like everyone is inept. No one has any ability to do anything in the show. There's one big thing where I'm like, are you kidding me? That would be spoiler. What else can we really say? I mean, there are some parts that are just really done for theatrical reasons. Now, in general, whenever you watch any show or movie, you know, there's this what is it called? Disbelief. There's essentially the willingness to just leave reality at the front door and just accept what is going on in the show. However, whenever the show is pulling at that willingness and is just, you know, poking at it, at some point you can't really get into the show anymore, because now you see a lot of the flaws, because they were unable to leave you in that zone of, hey, I'm going to ignore, hey, it's in space, there's no sound in space, I'm going to ignore it. It's just a little minor thing, doesn't matter, the rest is fine. But if you have that like 15, 20 times, it's like, okay, now I see all the problems and you pulled me out of the story. So this is what essentially happened to me here, because some of the stuff was so insane. Nonetheless, I do like the characters. The art style is nice. The animation is good. The voice acting is great. The problem is that it is a very story-heavy show, because of all the, you know, the insurgents and all the agents, and then we have stuff happening and relationships developing, and it's like, okay. And because it pulled me out of that zone, I had a really hard time to accept it as what it is. I saw a lot of problems then. Now, before I go into spoilers, let's see what other people thought. How did I talk 14 minutes again? Fuck me. AniList has it at 76%. My anime list at 7.73 with 16,800 users. People liked it. People gave it a positive rating. That is why I always want to showcase that. So you have what the general audience thinks, apart from, you know, me. For me, it's like a 7 out of 10. It just does some really weird stuff that I just, oh man, some of it is so weird. It really hurt me. So I'm going into spoiler. You have been warned. Now we find out she got kidnapped, and as she got kidnapped, you know, the Agent of Winter, he likes our Agent of Spring, so he was searching for her. The whole village of Winter was searching for her, the Guard of Spring was searching for her. However, the village of Spring stopped searching after 3 months. It makes no sense. To be honest, it makes zero sense. I have no idea. They were like, yeah, we don't care. And they just did not really do anything anymore. Now the village of Winter, after 5 years, they were like, we can't really continue. We don't see any potential that we are ever going to find her, which, to be honest, I feel like it's reasonable. It sucks, but it makes sense. Now, Sakura naturally, as she heard the message, she was like, oh, the Agent of Winter and the God of Winter are my enemies. They're the worst of the worst, which understandable that she has that reaction. It is unfair because, again, they did a lot of stuff. 5 years they searched for Hinagiku. And essentially she should be mad at the Village of Spring instead of these two. But I can understand it. Now, as Hinagiku comes back, they have like some emotional stuff. Not really what I want to talk about. That is all fine and dandy. We then go and bring Spring. Now, as Hinagiku got free, she essentially destroyed most of the insurgency, or a good chunk of insurgents. So they had to rebuild a little bit. Now, again, the government or any of the villages, no one was able to find where these guys are or what they are doing. It is really weird because, again, they have weapons, they have armor, and it's like no one is questioning where these come from. There's no paper trail, nothing. Now, as we continue, we go to the Agent of Summer. They get attacked while they are there, which I'm like, okay, they get attacked. Where's the agency? Because there's this big agency that is essentially protecting these agents with like normal dudes. But they are never there. They're never there. It feels like the agents of the Four Seasons have to do all the work. Meanwhile, the agency is doing nothing. They don't find where the enemy is. They're unable to respond when the agents get attacked. And I'm like, oh man, what are we doing? Why is everyone so stupid? Now, this comes to a head. And this is where really everything cracked for me. Now, we see the villa, essentially, of the Agent of Autumn. She's a little girl. Now, they reinforce the glass with bulletproof glass, so they can't be attacked as easily. So the insurgents decided to drop a bomb from a plane onto this villa. How? I don't understand. This is where everything came crashing down. Because, literally and figuratively, it is so impossible to have a plane in your country and no one knows. No one can as soon as you have an unidentified flying object in your airspace, you are going to pinpoint that shit and you are never going to leave it. It's like, oh, there is something, we should check it out. And I feel like Japan would do the same. But somehow, this plane was able to drop this fucking bomb and no one knows where it went. It never got mentioned, really. It's gone. No. It's gone. There was never a plane. And then naturally they rushed in with their own insurgent group and stuff. They wanted to kill the girl, but then they kidnapped the girl. Yeah, sure. And this is, again, where everything went downhill. Because then, naturally, the agents come together and are like, okay, we need to work together and we're going to defeat them. Now, the whole time, the Agent of Winter and the God of Winter, the Agent of Winter wants to meet the Agent of Spring, and the Agent of Spring wants to meet the Agent of Winter. Because they like each other. But they are like always, no, and the Agent of Winter is like, I don't know if I can, and I'm going to meet her later. Meanwhile, the God of Spring is like, no, don't meet them because they are my enemies. And it's like, why? Not even talking, nothing. It's like, and then we get essentially to the end, which is where insanity strikes yet again. So we are in this building, which is part of this government, the agency, and Hinagiku is there as well. Now the insurgents, they attack this building because somehow the insurgents, they made a lot of money and they bribed a shit ton of people. I mean a shit ton. The police is more or less, reacting. I believe there's a bomb going off, whatever. The police is reacting, is going to the building, and they're like, okay, you are all going to stay here because all the police is bought off by the insurgents. Then we have a security team coming in that are all bought off by the insurgents. And it's like, what the fuck do you mean? They are able to take over the building, more or less capture all the people inside, plant bombs, and they're trying to get Hinagiku to kidnap her again. Because the woman, the bad enemy, she just wants her because she's like her daughter, which is a whole different weird stuff. Because she's like, oh, you're my daughter, and if she never behaves, then this woman is hitting and beating the children. It's like, really? And at some point, she's like, okay, if you have offspring, your offspring is more likely to be the agent of spring. So if you have a lot of offspring, we have a lot of agents. So she's trying to just have people more or less try to get children with her as she's a child. Which I'm like, okay, this makes no sense. There's only one agent, and the power only goes to the next agent if she dies. So you can wait. You can wait until she's like 16 or 20, if at all. It doesn't really make sense. Also, I wouldn't do that to my child, but she clearly is. Nonetheless, they take over the building. Now the Agent of Winter also gets attacked, which was naturally, why not? Because the insurgency was able to bribe all of these people, have multiple caravans of armed insurgents fight against the Agent of Winter. They had a base, which we then found where it is, where another million armed insurgents were. And it's like, where are you getting these fucking weapons from? What is happening here? Now, why is this attacked, okay? So they attack, they go up, yada, yada, yada. Now, this is the first time the Agent of Spring and the Agent of Winter are going to have a little conversation. They have a little phone call. Now, at the same time, the Agent of Spring is more or less besieged in their little room, but they have a nice little call of, hey, oh yeah. It's like, what are you doing? Nothing much. I'm just laying here being besieged. Meanwhile, the Agent of Winter's like, yeah, babe, I'm not doing much as well, even though I'm in the street and I have like 15 guys shooting pistols at me. Yeah, not really doing much. It's like, what the fuck are we doing here? Can't you go? Like, hey, yeah, we are on attack. I'm pressed for time. Where are you? I'm coming to help you. A little bit later, the Agent of Winter is now on the way. We are on the way to rescue you on a big bike with the Guard of Winter. Cool. Now, Hinagiku calls again. Now, the Agent of Winter, who is on the passenger seat, not the one driving, picks up the phone. And the Guard of Winter, who is driving the bike, is like, I should probably stop, so we can have this little conversation with the phone. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? She's actively being besieged. She is being attacked. How about we move while we talk? He's not driving. He can talk while you drive. Easy peasy. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing again? And it's, which naturally at the end, they come at the right second because, we have to have that moment. Oh, he's rescuing her, yada, yada. Ooh. Doesn't matter. At the same time, we have a second group, the Agent of Summer. Now, Agent of Summer and the Guard of Summer. They are attacking the base because in that base there's the Agent of Autumn kidnapped and they want to rescue her. Cool, okay. Now, the Agent of Summer, their ability is to essentially take over animals in the vicinity. Seemingly endless, but a lot of animals. Like the birds, the dogs, everything. And they can also enhance their ability. Very strong, very good ability. Now, they follow the guy that had... There's a guy with a trunk. There's the Agent of Autumn in. Because she's very small, they put her in the trunk and he's running away. Now there are a couple guys that are trying to intercept the Agent of Summer as they try to follow this guy. And the Guard of Autumn, he's also there. So naturally they dispatch these guards, or the Agent of Summer are attacking these guards, while the Agent of Autumn, the Guard of Autumn is running after them. Okay. Now, we have this big fight where the Agent of Summer has all of these wolves and stuff and is fighting like 10 guys at the same time who luckily don't have guns or don't use guns for some reason. And the Guard of Summer is fighting another 10 guys with her sword and knife and whatnot. We have a big fight, cool and stuff. Now, the Agent of Summer has wolves and dogs and birds and all of that. She goes to the Agent of as a Guard of Summer as she's cleaning up, and you know, she's fighting again. In the meantime, somehow there's one insurgent at the site who no one knows he's there. None of the dogs reacted, none of the birds reacted, no one reacts, and this guy shoots the Agent of Summer. Now, he is shooting her from the side, but somehow he hit her. Not only did he hit her, he essentially had killed her in one shot, which very unlikely, but sure. So he was able to essentially sneak into a position where he was able to one-shot her. Then the Agent of the Guard of Summer is like 10 meters in front. Did not hear that there was a fucking gunshot behind him, where the Agent of Summer got attacked. Turns around and sees the guard that was like 5 meters in some bush. How he is now essentially on top of the body of the agent, and he's pointing the gun at her because he wants to give her another shot. And it's like, what are we doing? How is he doing that? How is he able to get there in the time it took her to essentially turn around? Because, you know, there's a gunshot. There was a gunshot. She saw that the power didn't work because all the enemies ran away. So she turns around and now he's on top of the Agent of Summer. She naturally goes crazy and attacks him, sure. Why didn't he, because he already put the agent on the ground, why didn't he just kill the guard? He's such a cracked shot, just kill the guard as well. But no, he had to walk up to their body, point the gun, have a monologue of, oh, I'm going to kill you for my friends or whatever bullshit. And it's like, what the fuck are we doing? So she naturally runs there, the guard, and is defeating him. But it's too late. The Agent of Summer is dead. Now, the Guard of Summer is under a lot of not hurt, pain, because she slowly but surely gets all these marks that more or less show that she's the new agent. Again, as soon as an agent dies, a new one is selected. Now she is again under a lot of pain, but then she's now the new agent. We pan out, and she's surrounded by 20 armed guys. Where are these coming from? Where's the fucking clown car? Where's the spawn point of this bullshit? They attacked the base. The guy that had the Agent of Autumn ran away. There's no one that ran away before him. Not only ran they after this guy really quickly, they got intercepted by 20 or so armed guys, 10 each. They got rid of those. And then they got surrounded by 20 other guys. Meanwhile, the base is being attacked by government forces with like armor and guns. They have a whole fight going on. Where are these enemies coming from? They spawn somewhere. Like, what the fuck are we doing again? Just for her to go crazy and use her ability and showcase how good her ability is. But the previous agent, is dead. Until the Agent of Autumn comes and she can use her ability and resurrect her, because, you know, we can't have dead people in the show. It would make too much sense. And there are a lot of these little things. The biggest thing for me is that at the beginning really was making it hard to continue is that no one is able to get any information. The whole show, no one, not the government, nor any of the villages, nor any of the agents, no one has an idea where these insurgents are. Where are they getting their weapons from? Where's this plane that dropped a fucking bomb? Where did they get a bomb from? Where's this plane landing? Where's this plane starting? Where are these insurgents coming from? Where are they going? No one has an idea. In the meantime, at the time whenever they kidnapped Hinagiku, they used her ability to grow plants like narcotics to sell, to get money. And this, they also were unable to identify where it came from, which I feel like it would be pretty easy at some point. I mean, it took like 6 or so years they had her grow narcotics for them. And this is where everything started to crack. And then a lot of the stuff, I mean, the whole stuff at the end, it was just showcased for just, hey, we have a big fight. As example, we have Hinagiku at the top with the Guard of Spring, and she gets attacked again. The insurgents have taken over the building. They are like in control of everything. They have like 50 guys essentially on their side. Now Hinagiku is at the top with her guard, and we have this bitch woman and her right-hand man and 2 additional guys. They were 4 people that came up here. Where's the rest? You had a whole army. And this is what you came with? Really? This is all you had? Because at that point before, Hinagiku had like 5 or 6 other guys they more or less had on their side, which helped them. They could have just taken them with, and then they would be 7-4. But no. It's like, it just essentially, hey, we need some action, and it doesn't really make sense, but we need the spectacle. We need to showcase everything. As example, the Agent of Summer thing could have worked totally. Because the enemy uses weapons, we could have had the Agent of Summer go there and be like, I want to help my sister, the Guard of Summer. The Guard of Summer is fighting. All the insurgents are shooting at her. It's a fight. And one of the bullets, didn't hit her, but hit the Agent of Summer. It happens, especially if you have enough bullets being shot. And then, it's just an incident, essentially, where she got hit and killed. And it would have been a lot smoother than someone being able to sneak up on someone who has literal dogs at her side. Do you know how effective dogs are at finding people? They can hear you like 20-30 meters away. You make a fart, they know you are there. They can smell you as well. It's like, how did he sneak up on her? It's like insane. But yeah, this definitely reduced my enjoyment of the show by quite a bit. Because the main concept, I find it is a pretty neat idea. I do like the characters, the main characters at least. But the story, the main part of the thing, just is not really working. It needed to be done in a way that is more plausible, because again, you have the whole government, which makes sense to have the government interact with the agents, because I, as a government, I want to have summer because I need to grow crops and stuff. So that makes sense, but that they are unable to identify where these people come from is just insane.